Hey guys, welcome back to Inside the Storm. I'm your host Zane, and today we're going to be talking about everything Newport Storm FC. We've got a really good show lined up for you. We're going to be hitting all the points from the round 5 clash against Deakin United, as well as touching upon the immense success of the club around the juniors kicking off last Sunday. Let's get straight into it. Touching on the round 5 clash with Deakin United, the team was expecting an extremely difficult game, as we saw in the preview. Obviously, Deakin, a mid-table side who's been up and down in form, but overall has amassed a decent point total to keep them in that upper mid-table, as well as having the experience of playing in a league higher than the Storm squad did last season, coming from State 4, meant that the squad itself was expecting quite a challenge. Playing away from home also is difficult in these sort of conditions when potentially the pitch isn't as familiar, but also there is a atmosphere playing away from home, which can be extremely intimidating for a squad to come into, especially a club that's established like Deakin is. However, the game itself was definitely quite balanced. The first half was a story of contest, especially in the midfield. There wasn't really a clear dominating side. There weren't a significant amount of big clear-cut chances. Arguably, the Storm started off much the better team in the first 15-20 minutes, until Deakin was able to settle and adjust and offer certain questions on the break and on transition, which, to be honest, did end up hurting the squad quite a bit because of just the sheer number of counterattacks that were able to come through. Even having a ball possession dominating side, the vulnerability in that system is the able to be broken upon really easily when numbers are committed forward, and that's exactly what we saw with the chances Deakin was creating. Obviously, their first goal comes from a set piece, which the team has conceded a couple to in recent weeks, and definitely has been identified by the coaching staff as a potential area of weakness for the team that must need to be improved, especially playing at this sort of level where set pieces are extremely viable in terms of a consistent goal-scoring opportunity, and the danger of conceding from set pieces is extremely plausible when potential normal chances might not be as regularly forthcoming as set pieces. The second goal in the second half comes with, again, a extremely fast transition, and all of a sudden there's a number disadvantage, a 3-on-2 in the 80th minute, potentially an offside, but again, slightly divisive. But a quick transition, 3 against 2, a couple of quick passes are played, and suddenly the Storm's 2-0 down in the 80th minute. It feels extremely encompassing of the issues that have happened to the team in the last 4 weeks, especially in these losses. In the last two, primarily, where the team has extremely solid moments, and definitely the players have echoed this in their previews and in their post-game interviews, where the team has extremely solid moments and solid spells, but it feels like when adversity hits and arguably for the game state, a goal against the run of play happens, it feels like the team finds it difficult to respond and regain the flow that they've started with. As the first 15 to 20 minutes of the first half, the first 10 minutes of the second half, the team looks exceptional in how they play, in terms of build-up and ball possession, and especially the passing patterns that come in. It just appears to be that the end product of ultimately getting the ball in the net, as well as being able to defend situations better, seems to be the biggest point of struggle for the team, especially going on last week's evidence. Now, obviously, a new project, there will be ups and downs. The record doesn't look great at the minute, obviously sitting in 10th place with 1 win and 4 losses. I think the issue primarily is the manner of the 4 losses, because they haven't been games where the squad's gone dominated. Arguably, in 3 out of the 4 losses, they've looked the better team, especially in the first 2 against Meadow Park and Mooney Valley, arguably even against Kilo. There have been extremely positive moments for the squad, and it's just about translating that into not only extended performances for both halves of the game, but also just in seeing out results and getting the results that the team arguably deserves. Because the quality of football, there hasn't been a team that's been able to dominate the squad or play through them consistently. It appears that it's just spells of really, really good possession and control, which ultimately get undone by either small mistakes or set piece goals, which thankfully is something that can be worked on the training ground much easier than something like holding the ball or possession or chance creation or just comfortability on the ball. Moving on to this week's opponent, round 6 sees the team taking on the Deakin Ducks, which are an extremely strong squad. Obviously, again, coming from straight four last season, but have had a very strong start to the season, sitting top 2 at the minute, and definitely appearing to be one of the teams that is vying for the title with Mooney Valley as Bendigo slightly fallen away, and Kilo Wolves has dropped a couple points in draws. Deakin does really appear to be attempting to cement themselves in this title race as a top 2, and move from a potential favourite to a genuine contender. And obviously with a strong record that is indicative of how consistent they've been so far. So definitely an extremely difficult game. Obviously being favoured playing at home does help a lot, especially in these big title run-ins. And for the Storm to come into this really needing these points, arguably the approach is slightly different now than it has been over the past weeks, as these points are extremely vital. Less so for potentially winning the title, but more so for cementing and coming back to that good run of form. Obviously, after the first week, we had a listen in from players like Gorky and Blue and Eunice, who really illustrated the fact that momentum is huge, and as is the morale around the squad. And coming on the back of 4 losses, the morale and the momentum arguably would be at an extremely low point, and that's where it's the job of the coaching staff and the leadership team in the squad to bring up the players and remind everyone that while it's still early in the season, obviously the form is not the caliber of the club, but it being so early in the season still means that arguably there's time to fix the situation, and it all starts this weekend, obviously against Deakin Ducks. From the reserve side, 2 wins in a row, which is extremely positive for that squad. They've really bounced back in a really good way, and extremely positive signs on that end. But obviously, the focus is getting the senior team back on track, which is the most pivotal thing at the moment. Have a listen to one of the players and the club TD, Nick, speaking about the upcoming game and his thoughts on the previous game last week.
Yeah, it was a really tough result, and I think not our best performance against Darabin. Really looking forward to this week of training and kind of getting back to the basics and get some momentum going in training, get the intensity up, so we're ready to go against Deakin, which I believe they're second on the table right now. So yeah, lots to improve, but yeah, I think the boys are hungry and ready for the challenge.
Well, this Sunday also saw the return of the junior season kick off with a lot of games at the home ground and a lot of teams playing away. Obviously, overall across the club, extremely successful weekend. Junior results are less measured on the actual result themselves, and instead the performance and the elements of learning and the quality of football displayed. But extremely positive. Some highlights coming out definitely from the under 12s, the under 10s, even the under 11s were able to get a win, the under 13s drew. So extremely positive from across the club as a whole, and really good to see the development of junior talent, obviously coming in as a club that now has a senior team, the importance of a pathway that can transition towards senior football, but also providing a quality of football for players who are able to develop their game and potentially stay at the club as seniors, but more importantly, stay in football. And that's the ideal goal for junior programs, is obviously to develop talent and make players better and improve skills, but also develop and maintain their interest in the sport itself and playing the sport itself, which is extremely important. Generally, the accepted number is that by around 13, 14, around half of kids end up leaving football. And the goal of the club, the goal of the TD and the leadership committee is to make sure that, for the most part, as many kids as possible who want to are encouraged to stay within football. And that's the importance of junior football. And as results-driven senior players or senior coaching staff, etc., or anyone with that kind of mindset, there tends to be a trend to focus on results and scores, but ultimately with junior football, until you're playing U14s, U15s, the scores, results don't matter as much as the goals that come out of it and the learning and the development of social skills and obviously football skills. But extremely positive from the club all around. Again, we spoke to TD Nick, who isn't coaching this season, but is kind of having an overseeing role over all the junior teams, on his thoughts on the junior kickoff.
Yeah, I thought round one went really well. I'm not actually coaching any teams myself. I'm more overseeing, but I took the under sevens and the under 13s in round one. The under sevens played a great game against Brimbank, their first official game of the season, and they played really, really well. Lots of running with the ball, lots of dribbling and turning, and some good passing and goal scoring as well. So overall, great performance. The 13s ended up losing their first game, but it was a really good battle. They battled down from being down 2-0 to come back to 2-2, and unfortunately conceded a late one, but they had a really good performance as well overall. So very happy with both squads.
Well, guys, that brings us to the end of another show. Thank you so much again for watching, whether it's on YouTube or Insta. Thank you so much for watching. And this weekend, obviously, as mentioned, the seniors have a huge, huge game in really, really recovering the momentum in their season, as well as their form against the Deakin Ducks. Kick off at home, reserves 1 p.m., seniors at 3 p.m. at the AW Bond Reserve. Come down, it'll be a really, really great atmosphere, and come show your support for the team bouncing back. Thank you so much. I've been your host, Zane, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.